What's going on? Welcome into episode 2 of Warzone Joes with Haig and Puff. On this week's episode, we're going to be going over some of what we think is interesting and important. This includes talking about why there's so many irrelevant guns and gun combinations, the current metas and how to play them and combat them, play styles, and meshing with your own team, Season 5 rumors, and what we would like to see and not see out of that, overall game balance that aren't weapon balances, and strategies to use when you're all alone and having to revive your teammates. Puff, how's it going tonight?
Another day, another dollar, brother.
Another day, another dollar. If you could go over anything out of that list right now, what is the number one thing you'd like to talk about tonight?
Ooh, I think we probably start with the brewing meta, which is kind of the sign on the wall. Because I think I know you, myself, all of our crew is kind of tired of seeing that meta run right now.
Absolutely.
You got tired of the Grawl meta, and it's not took quite as long, I believe, to get tired of the brewing meta.
No, I think that it definitely took a shorter amount of time to get tired of seeing the Bruin or having to run it. I don't even actually enjoy running it.
No, I don't either. I don't either. Considering that grinded this weekend to get it platinum, but I do not care to run it myself either. I mean, last night, me and Bob Lee, of course, me, Bob Lee, Worm, we were, we grinded shipment 24/7 so Worm could get it unlocked, and of course, he didn't have any of the variants. I think me and Mr. Official had purchased one of the variants, that was in the store, the glitch. I believe that's what it's called.
That was
And
where a
so,
lot of people unlocked it at.
yeah, so we initially had that blueprint of it, and as we were, trying to unlock the Bruin, we were using the glitch, so we were ranking it up as well. So when we finally did get it unlocked, which didn't, you got to do 3 kills near smoke. Enemy get kills near smoke for 15 matches.
And let's talk about that for a minute. Is that not one of the dumbest ways to unlock a weapon? I mean, you would think that they would have a better way, like the old systems of the headshots and stuff like that. Like maybe set it up where you get 200 headshots instead of having to hit smoke. I think that just takes away from the gameplay of actually playing the game.
Well, if you look at how a lot of the camos are unlocked in this Call of Duty, it is set up, in my opinion, for the passive player, the back player, the one that's going to tend to, camp a little more, mounted kills. I mean, so if you look at it, in my opinion, it's set up more for, a passive kind of campy player. This particular game is set up so much for that type of player. It's not even funny. I'm a running gun, go straight at them, and it's just set up that way. I agree with you. The smoke, it's ridiculous.
I think it takes away from people, like, not necessarily passive players, but I think it takes away from the aggressive players having to go into multiplayer matches and have to deal with smoke being everywhere. Like, I almost have to run a thermal scope to play, and I don't want to run a thermal scope because of ADS times.
Yeah, that's what I run for the last 2 days when me and Bob Lee have really grinded shipment 24/7 just to rank out those LMGs, etc. While we've got the opportunity with the double XP. I run the night vision scope. I can't remember this. I've got the game pulled up right now, but we all know which one it is. It's the only night vision scope in there. But I run it because it's smoked. It's smoked everywhere. I mean, and we were running as a team with Worm, so I had smoke. Bob Lee had smoke, Worm had smoke, so we all, as soon as the match started, it was just pop the smokes. And so you had, it doesn't take much to have shipment pretty smoked out. So
oh wow,
we'd run like that for, I don't know. And I mean, we had to run 15 matches for him to unlock it, and that's what it took. It was the 15. We didn't have to go any more or any less. But
well, that's good.
I wish they would have made it stackable, so if you got 3 kills, I mean, maybe you could have, about like you said, if it was 20 kills in the headshots or whatever, maybe it should have been, 200 kills around smoke or something, but you could accomplish that in one match if you could accomplish that, or you could 3, etc., instead of putting that limit on it of having to play 15 matches to unlock. And you take like, Rufus last night, he doesn't have the multiplayer, and so he was
Having to do it in Plunder.
right. Yeah, he was doing it in Plunder. Now I think he was trying to rank up the Origin, which is, I'm a little, I don't want to say scared of. I'm not looking forward to that, to be honest, because I think I've seen more people running it in the last week since Nick Merckx him and Cloakzy had a day that I briefly watched them. They're not two that I typically watch much of, but that's what they were trying to do. And I'll be darned if you're not starting to see that one a little bit more running around the Origin. And so he was playing Plunder, trying to get that unlocked. Well, if you think about it, I mean, I don't want to say it's unfortunate, but it's a lot harder, in my opinion, in Plunder to go in there and unlock guns, et cetera, because if right now, if you've got the multiplayer and you can go play the shipment 24/7, that's where you need to be.
It's the most efficient way to unlock guns, to rank up guns, and to do that. And I think that's why the community had an uproar when they took off shipment 24/7 and or shoot house 24/7. I mean, it makes a big difference. But now that we've got the gun unlocked, Wormy unlocked it, we're all running it. Bobley's running it, officials running it, you're running it, I'm running it. I wouldn't say 90%. I would say probably 70% of every lobby is running the Bruin. With the other 30 being a mix up of mostly Graws, kilos, and fours. And I think that's what it is.
I've seen more kilos right now than
seen a lot of kilos.
I would say. Yeah, and I guess we could get into the conversation of the skill-based matchmaking and the theory that, if we're all running a Bruin, then our lobbies are going to be all running.
I don't see that.
I don't believe that. But
I don't either.
But it seems right now it's the Bruin, the kilo. I'm trying to think. I actually run the Galil or the CR, 5.56 max or whatever. I actually run it a couple of nights, and it seemed like it was pretty slappy, to be honest. And I've not seen a lot of different people running it, but last night it was the Bruin, the MP5, and I was actually trying. Me and Bob Lee were trying the little UMP 45, and
which used to be one of the really good SMGs in the originals.
I didn't have the opportunity to run into a building last night and say, let's go head to head UMP versus the MP5 or the Fennec or the MP7. Now, I did not say the opportunity. It's not like I'm looking forward to running into a building anyway, but I got a few kills with the UMP, but I can just tell you without a doubt in my mind, it of course does not hit like that MP5, and I just don't think it's going to be competitive.
I don't think it is either.
And I would like for them to. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to see a variety of SMGs and not. And you know that we do try gun combinations, folks. We test out all kinds of different stuff. Just like Puff said, he was running the UMP 45 last week. I maxed out the P90 to try it out because I really wanted to see if the high velocity gunfire worked, or rapid fire worked on the P90, maybe against some of those, kind of like the Fennec does with that. It's got that super fast burst that really helps with it. And I've seen quite a few people running the Fennec in the past few days as well. I've ran into some people. Now, did I usually outgun those people with my MP5? Yes, I'd probably say 8 out of 10 times I win that fight. So when we start referring back to the Bruin MP5 meta or a Bruin sniper meta, because I've been seeing quite a bit of that as well, depending on what kind of player you are. I think that something has to give on the Bruin. It's too good. It does not move. It takes very little to kill people. It's easy to get headshots. It reloads really fast with that 60 round mag. And let's talk about some attachments that we're putting on it. I know me personally, I'm running the 60 round mag, the VLK, the longest barrel, the monolithic suppressor, and a stipple grip tape. I'm trying to get that gun to ADS as fast as possible, and without the need to put a foregrip on it because of recoil. I'm getting what I need out of that. I needed that, and I got it.
Yeah, I'm running. I think we may be running at the same. I did not put an underbarrel on mine, uh, because I can at least control the recoil enough that I don't see a need for it. I mean, mine's the standard almost AR setup. I'm running a monolithic, the XRK Summit 26.8 barrel, the tac laser, the 60 round mag, and then I will tinker. I think I'll tinker with the VOK or the Cronin Pro. Uh, I do not pray. I've got it pulled up right quick, so I'm gonna look it up right quick. I hardly ever. I would actually probably prefer the where's it at? The Candid Hybrid, but they for whatever reason do not let you use the same reticle that you can with the VOK, and so that's the reason I don't run that optic. Just that is simply the only reason I don't run that optic. Uh, but I mean, the Bruin's hard to. I mean, it's
It is
not
hard to
hard. I'm
beat.
gonna
And
say
I'm even
hard
running
to
the
beat.
Graw. I've
It's
tried to
you
run the
gotta run it.
Graw, the M13, the Kilo, and the M4 all against these lobbies full of Bruins, and I'm still getting smoked. And 90% of the time when I get smoked, it's by a Bruin.
Yeah.
And what do you do to combat that? You know, other than wait until it's nerfed. But
I don't know because we had that conversation last night. We were starting to get frustrated. I mean, I've been running it reluctantly just because I'm thinking, well, if I'm gonna, compete somewhat, I need to be running it.
if I'm gonna die
Uh,
by it, I've gotta run it.
I mean, I run the Kilo a little bit last night. I run it a match or two, and then I was like, yeah, I can't run this. I've got to go back to the Bruin. Uh, I know Bob Lee run the Graw. He was trying a few different things, and he's like, yeah. I mean, and he doesn't want to run it. And like I said, it comes back to who. Well, let me rephrase this. The Bruin can be made so much like an assault rifle that it's almost. I mean, with that 60 round mag, that's one thing. Now, let's imagine if it didn't have that 60 round mag capability, and you were stuck with the belt fed, the 100 or the 200, and it had that slow reload time.
And the
Then
slow mobility.
yes, and then that may,
It
that
would
may
deter.
sway some people to stay away from it. But right now, it's too much like an AR. I mean, it's
Yeah,
too
it
much
would
like an
deter
AR
the
as soon
pro
as you run.
players from using it with a belt fed. Just because of mobility
Yeah, it
issues,
would.
they wouldn't use it. There's just, and we can move on to the next topic. We've talked about this. We can move on to the next topic. It's just a nice smooth transition into irrelevant guns. Why are there so many irrelevant gun combinations?
I thought.
There's so many guns in Warzone, and yet
I thought.
we see the same
Yeah.
5 guns all the time.
Yeah. I think that's something to that's just lack of dev attention. I think it's poor, uh, creativity, from them. Uh, I don't know if that's forced on them. Is it because uh, of the CDL league that maybe the guns that run in CDL? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me that it is 1 to 2 guns, 1 to 3 guns, 1 to 4 guns max that is the meta. And that's like me and Bob Lee talked today. We both kind of question, like, what are we doing over here on multiplayer? We would rather probably be playing Warzone. But we did have the conversation last night with Worm. We were having fun. We were laughing, cutting up, shooting the crap, playing multiplayer. And it's like, it's not as stressful, even though it's shipment, and it's crazy and it's just nonstop because, of course, this Infinity War decided to ruin the spawns.
Yeah, they're
And
terrible.
how many times do you just spawn and I mean, before you can even move, you're dead, or I mean,
Yeah, the line of
but we were
sight.
having fun, and we weren't, and it's almost like, well, I'm not as stressed out over here as I am on Warzone,
No.
and so, but it's like we talked today. I was like, Bob Lee, there's a possibility because I think he's working on the Dragonov. Uh, it's a possibility that the Dragonov could be OP this next go round. Well, if you don't have it unlocked and which it's a factory weapon, so it's not a battle pass weapon, but if you don't have it maxed out, etc., at least you're going ahead and kind of knocking that out now. But
Right.
the lack of variety does blow my mind because the game itself has such a potential. I mean, that's like me. I like, for whatever reason, I like that little 45, and it does in hardcore. It's slappy in hardcore. I mean, it's okay in just regular multiplayer, but it's almost unviable in Warzone. I mean,
Yeah.
now I guess if you're wanting to run around, if you were playing Plunder, fine, you can definitely experiment there. But the majority of us are kind of uber competitive, and so we're wanting to play well, we want to place well, we want to win, of course, we want to get the max amount of kills that we can get, and so we're going to set ourselves up for whatever the class is at the moment for that success, instead of experimenting more. Not saying we don't, because I've got my screen, I've got one of my loadouts pulled up right now, and it is the Bruin loadout. It's the Bruin, and then I have the UMP 45. But I can go real quickly through my class. My loadouts: M4 MP5, Graw MP5, Galil MP5, Kilo MP5, M13 MP5. Then I've got MP5 Ghost and a Kilo Ghost for later loadout drops, and then of course I have a couple of just BS classes for multiplayer. But you can see kind of there may be a small trend there with the MP5.
Yeah.
But I would much rather see that a lot different and be able to experiment with the other classes. But
I would just like to see some more variety. I'd like to try to go up against some other guns that aren't 5 different ones. And then you can also throw in attachments. Like, everybody is using the same attachments right now. You're seeing the monolithic suppressor on every single weapon. Period. Let's
stop right there. Now let's make all right. So now, by all means, I don't. Whomever, if we have 20 people listen to this podcast or 20,000 listen to this podcast, I want to state this first. I respect the military. They allow us to do any and everything that we can do. They are the reason me and you are getting to have this podcast.
I agree.
Now, that being said, I know just as well as you do, we've all heard that Infinity Ward, recruited, quote unquote, in a sense, Navy SEALs to help, some of the gunplay, the guns, etc. Now, I'm a gun advocate. I have several. I have never seen. I have had the opportunity to be able to shoot suppressors, in real life and not the Call of Duty world. And a real suppressor, from what I've experienced, does not increase your range. It does not make you more accurate. Where did Infinity Ward get that by running a particular suppressor, unless there's some unbeknownst technology that we don't know about,
Right.
and there actually are, John Rambo suppressors that, when you pew 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 and you can't hear nothing, which I've not seen, watched a bunch, maybe if you're running a 22 long rifle or something, but you still got to run it subsonic. But back on point here, that's just for the very talk of it. Let me get back over here to my gunsmith. Why does a muzzle monolithic, is it the thing to run? Is it because it's the cool factor of the sound? Do you understand the variety that could have been made if the monolithic or any of the other, have you ever run the tac suppressor or the lightweight suppressor? I don't. And
No.
if you are, I don't.
There's no point. It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't help you in any way. It's not hindering you, because let me tell you something. Even if, let's say you're running a gun that you don't have leveled up, you don't have the monolithic on, and let's say you're not going to run any sound suppression, you're not going to run into that many people that are going to pay attention to their minimap enough to know that you don't have a suppressor on. They're not going to listen to those shots or hear those shots, just like we do in early game. You're not going to hear it and go to it. Because it sounds forever away.
Because there's too many times you're like, that should be on the minimap right now. And so think of the variety that you could have created if you said, all right, this is all things considered, saying that the minimap actually functioned like it's supposed to. Well, then you could say, all right, risk reward. Do I want to run that suppressor, but I'm not going to have the range that I would, but I'm going to at least stay off the minimap, kind of another form of ghost in a sense. Or do I, and a suppressor should not help with recoil, or do I want to run a muzzle brake or a compensator? I don't see a point in the flash guard or the breacher device. Maybe there is. You got to
understand that it's not all about Warzone though. With a lot of attachments, a lot of these attachments may play a different role in a CDL or a multiplayer, and that could come into play.
Banned, but I think some of them are actually, I say banned. You can't.
Yeah, the CDL can't use them.
But think about it. Here's our list right here. We have the flash guard, the breacher device, the tac suppressor, the muzzle brake, lightweight suppressor, compensator, and monolithic. I can look up flash guard, breacher device, tac suppressor, and lightweight. You can you can delete those from my list. That way, I don't even have to scroll through those.
Right.
Muzzle brake, compensator, and monolithic is what I'm going to use. But that's still variety there. But every class I have the monolithic on it. I mean,
On every, not
I
just
have
every
to.
class, on every gun. Period.
Yeah, you have to.
You've got it on.
And so,
You've got it on your ARs. You've got it on your SMGs. Whether you're putting it with a barrel or you're using the integrated one, like in the MP5, which I've gone back and forth with those, and I don't see a whole lot of difference in running a barrel and mono or running the integrated. I don't think there is one other than looks, in my opinion. I can't see a viable difference to say one is better than the other. But then you're also running on sniper classes. You're running on LMG classes. Now, I don't know what everybody's running on the shotgun. Like you were talking about the Origin earlier. I don't
either.
But are people? Is there a monolithic for it? I'm assuming there is.
Yes, there is.
So I'm assuming that they're going to run it on it as well. I mean, they're given 3 positives and 1 negative for the monolithic. That's it. They're given 3 positives and 1 negative, and that makes a big difference. Of course, everybody's going to run it. It's giving you 3 good attributes, 1 bad attribute, and the bad attribute is mobility. You're already going to lose it because you would have lost it with either using a barrel and a different compensator or a different suppressor. You're going to lose that anyways because nobody's going to run no attachments.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, no, I agreed. Nobody's going to run no attachments. I mean, unless you're trying to unlock the camouflages, of course, when you get to that certain section. But I mean, the lack of variety is. I don't want to run an LMG. Okay, I don't want to run an LMG. So the Bruin, I don't particularly want to run, but right now you have to because the Kilo, the M4, the Graw, they just can't compete with it.
So is there any way that we can compete against the Bruin right now? Or is it literally impossible to compete against the Bruin meta?
I'm not going to say it's impossible. I mean, anything's possible, but you're going to, if all things are equal and, Haig has a Bruin and I have an M4, I better hope you miss some shots and I better not miss any. You know what I'm saying? So I guess there's where the possibility comes in,
right?
With maybe some movement or something like that to make people miss shots. But it seems like we've said before, it's like, everybody's kind of got a beam on them right now. I mean, you standing in, you get out in front of somebody and they beam your butt. So
you want to know what I've noticed more with the Bruin meta than I did with the Graw meta, or any other meta? People mounting, people using those mount points to their advantage, which I like the aspect that you can do that. I think that was pulled from a little bit of Counter-Strike. I feel like that was pulled from that, and therefore they've made it a thing in this game. But it wasn't really viable to begin with because the POV of the player mounted and the POV of the non-mounted player, you were like just hanging out in the open. You could get shot really easy. But I think they've kind of fixed that. And then now with the Bruin, with the no recoil, I mean, I'm shooting people out of helicopters hundreds of meters away when I'm mounted on a wall.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
But I didn't see that with the Graw. I didn't see it with the Graw.
Why would an M4 have more recoil? Well, I know why, but I'm just putting that question out there. Why would an M4 recoil worse than the Bruin? I mean, I understand if you look at real life factors, the heaviness, blah 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 blah, but that's not what we're talking about. That Bruin should have some kind of recoil. That would probably lessen people from using it. But I mean, right now it's hard to. I mean,
even in real life, LMG is going to have more recoil than an M4. It just is.
Oh yeah, but the mobility is another factor. I mean, if you look at the Bruin, it's got that big handle on the front of it. I mean, maybe you should carry it that way. I mean, I know they're not going to change that in the game.
Yeah, that'd have to be a lot of coding that have to do. But I mean, I understand. Yeah, knock the mobility down.
I just want to see the variety go up. Of whomever wants to run different variety things, that should be able to happen, and you should still be able to compete with your average Joes out there. I mean, like I said, a pro is gonna a Douglas Raw, a Tyler TP, they're gonna make things look different anyway. Right. But for the average, the people that support this game, I'm not saying the pros don't, but I'm saying us that are generally paying, we're the main reason they're making that $3 million a day in microtransactions.
Right.
we could run a variety of things that we want to run because we're the lifeblood of it. If Teep keeps playing it, oh well. But guess what? If the rest of us quit it, it's dead. So I mean, I just really would like to see that variety, and I don't know if we ever, now granted, we have to take in the consideration if this game's lifespan is going to, be a PUBG or a Fortnite, and be around for a while. I mean, we're still in the early stages of the game, really and truly.
Right, we
But
are, and it's going to change with each going season. I think. I mean, you're going to see meta changes. You're going to see map changes and and stuff like that. And like season 5, I mean, I've heard some rumors about some different things that we may or may not see. Have you heard anything on some rumors?
all the rumors, of course, I keep up with a little bit of that stuff. Uh, of course, I've heard that Stadium is opening up. I've heard, that either there's the roof is going to open up in a sense, or the doors are going to open up. Also, looking forward to I thought that we were going to have it in one of these updates, zip lines that come from the roof. That way, you can come from the ground to the roof. That way, you can get those eeky, helicopter people that want to get up there and snipe for whatever reason. I've heard that. Of course, I think
I do
it's
think there
pretty.
needs to be a better way to get on top of buildings. I mean, we have elevators in some buildings, but we don't have elevators in all the buildings.
All buildings, yeah.
So and
we know the
nobody wants to
train's
run
coming.
27 flights of stairs.
No, screw that, man. We know the train. I mean, I say we know the train is coming. At least from their little leaks that they were sending everybody, the train is coming. And I'm assuming they're taking a chapter out of Apex's book, and they're going to have a train with heavy loot, going around the map in some form or
Right.
fashion. But
Well, I mean, we noticed
if,
the tunnel they put the tunnel in next to
yeah,
hospital in this last, couple updates ago.
and if you think about it too, hey, I mean the train. Well, let's go back. The ground loot. Think about it, man. How
It's
often
butt
do we
cheeks.
use ground loot? We don't. I mean, it's butt cheek. You're right. It's butt cheek. So we are literally trying to get cash. I don't care. I mean, there's so many FAL, so many trophy systems, so many Bruins laying on the ground right now. I mean, it's not like you're going to get a rare, gun. And so we're trying to get that cash and get our loadout. And I mean, so the train aspect of it being heavy, loaded up with good loot, I don't really know how that's going to play a factor. Maybe they have a different twist on it than what we're kind of thinking about. But
Right.
so we know the train. I say like I said, until Tuesday comes, we know the train is coming. I've also seen some rumors. I think from Twitter, it's modern Warzone. I think his Twitter handle. Uh, I know the Gaming Revolution. Some of those leakers have said that they believe that the I think it's Black Ops Cold War reveal will be inside of Stadium.
I
They're
think
kind
that
of
would be
claiming
cool.
that
That's
there's going
kind
to be
of
a live event, kind of like
that,
Fortnite did.
that's taking a leaf out of Fortnite's book, and we'll bounce back to Fortnite just for a second. Nobody can say that Fortnite hasn't been successful. I mean,
No, it has been.
it's been incredibly successful. Not only did it was the first game that targeted kids down to like 5 years old to grown ass men at 35. I mean, not every 35-year-old's playing the cartoony games because that may not be their thing, but in the end, you're still capturing a wide audience because no 5-year-old's gonna be playing Warzone. They're just not. I mean,
Well, technically,
normally,
they're not supposed to.
yeah,
By by the standards that are put out there, they're not supposed to. But
right,
but yes, Fortnite's been, of course, incredibly successful. They've done a lot of things right. I mean, I'm not a person that is a big Fortnite fan. I'm not against it. Hey, if you like to play it, more power to you. Uh, so I don't blame Infinity Ward from taking the success off of Fortnite and the successes off of Apex and maybe the successes off of PUBG and kind of, creating their own twists and turns and kind of mashing all that together to work. Uh,
right.
but the train, so, we're assuming that the train's coming. I don't know how that's going to change the game. Also there's the thought process that a nuclear, something has happened nuclear.
Right,
If
which
you actually
has been a
think about that
spinoff before.
logically, that if a nuclear bomb goes off on the map, I mean, if we think about it, it should just wipe the whole map. That's been
Right.
some people's point of view at it.
And how
Uh,
long did PUBG? I mean, PUBG was out for a long time before a second map was coming. I mean,
Yeah,
you
for a
have to
second
understand,
map.
people in this time and age, they want instant gratification.
Yeah,
And to
yeah.
bring a new map in is really not feasible. It's just a
No,
lot.
it's
It's
not.
too much coding. It's too much data they're gonna have to upload. Everybody's got to download it. Everybody already bitches about how big the game is already. I mean, it's a 200 gig game for God's sakes. It's
Yeah.
insane. But I'd still like to see some map changes. I'd love to see. Let's talk about some stuff that we'd like to see. I'd like to see some of the buildings get taken down. Like, make some rubble to fight around. As long as I can mantle the rubble, because if I can't mantle the rubble, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, the mantling.
Oh,
That's what I
mantling
told Bob
rocks.
Lee last night. I said, "Look, my elite Navy SEAL soldier can't even climb, a little bit of gravel here, Bob Lee." I said, "But if I was on PC, I would have been able to stumble my way right up to the top of it."
Yep.
Uh, you know, that coding, whoever did that, and I'm not a coding person. I can do good to say the word. Uh, it it's piss poor. The Manolin, of course, we've seen the Tim the Tap Man rage video, which was absolutely
Oh
hilarious
my
with the
God,
pulling
it's
the
great.
parachute. I don't blame him. I mean, if you think about it, he's right though. He's like, hey, we've been doing this for 3, 4 months, whatever it is now, and that little bug is still there. You've not fixed it. Why? Why is that there? Is it laziness or is it Activision pushing Infinity Ward to, too hard, and they're not being able to go back and clean up things that they need to clean up? Uh,
Or is it their B team because their A team's already working on the next thing?
yeah, I mean that's a real possibility. Uh, so
And
I'm hoping.
Chad brings up a good point. Somebody said that maybe they should slowly change the map rather than just completely changing it all at once. And I think that's a great idea. I think that's
Yeah.
what we should see. I think that's what I want to see. I want to see small tweaks to it. I want to see the meta of dropping Superstore not be the meta anymore. Make it somewhere else. Give me some
Agree.
options as to where I need to go. We don't drop Superstore, folks. I mean, we have before. We have our place. We talked about it in episode 1, but there's
We don't.
There's
And
not
I don't
very
really
many
want to talk
places.
about it because the video you sent us this week it's the #1 landing spot of that's a non-point of interest.
right.
I mean, I'm thinking seriously. So I agreed. I would like to see the meta changed. I mean, the pros. I don't have Twitch pulled up right now, but if I did, I guarantee you, whoever I'm watching is dropping. You know, Superstore. I mean, which I'm
Yeah.
not saying I get tired of seeing it. I mean, I enjoy it, but whoever's dropped, they're going Superstore every time. That's where they're going.
Every time. And how do they not run into each other? In these tournaments, how do they not run? I mean, every now and then you'll see like Husker's team run into
Occasionally.
TP's team, but not really.
That's because we still are, have the assumption that they're whitelisted. I'm not completely sure what all that means, but
Just put them on separate servers.
look at it this standpoint. They all fuss about stream snipers. I completely understand. How do these stream snipers get in consistently over and over
I
and
mean, you
over
gotta think
and
of the
over?
number of people that are, number of stream snipers. Now, if you're talking about the same stream sniper over and over again, like the same person, then I think that needs to be addressed. Because, I mean, there's no way that you could queue up out of, however many people are playing. I wish it used to give you a number of people that were in the playlist. I bet it's probably in the 150,000 to 300,000 range at any given point during the day. It may be more, it may be less. I don't know. Chat, you may know. Puff, you may know. I don't know. But
I do not know.
what I will
do know
say.
that-
Go ahead.
I do know Nacho and Chad has said something about getting rid of the gulag. I'm all for it. I mean, I know there's difference in opinions there, and I'm fine with that. I'm all for it. I would, instead of having to go in there with a HDR or a freaking AX50 or whatever horrible weapon they've got us playing with right now, I would just seem to be dead, and then somebody buy me back.
They had the gulag right. They had the gulag right to begin with. Pistol, that's it. Why change it?
No, I can agree with that.
Why change it? You're in a trashy prison, 1v1ing somebody with a pistol. Take away the tacticals in my opinion. Take away the lethals in my opinion, and give you a pistol, fist, and one magazine. That's it. Almost like one in the chamber. but not one of the, not first shot. Make it a couple shots. I'm okay with it not being hardcore, but then they went to stage 2 in the Gulag, and we got, automatic weapons. Still not bad, not terrible, but not great. Especially when I don't think there should be a bunch of different guns in the Gulag. Make it one. Make it that way. That way you get some consistency. I'm all about consistency, folks. If you haven't figured that out about me, I like to do things repeatedly. Repetitive motions are practice, and perfect practice makes perfect gameplay. Perfect practice, not just practice, but perfect practice. And with that said, if they had one SMG or one AR, then you could practice at it. You could get better. You could better yourself. But this sniper deal,
it sucks, man.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Me and Bob Lee were talking about it because they got the I do not know, and I'll look it up that way I've got the correct name.
And we could use this as our hashtag blame the lag segment, because when you're in the Gulag and you've got a little bit of latency difference, then
it is.
Then that is the hashtag blame the lag segment of Warzone Joes.
Let me find it. How do I'm trying to get over here to it right quick. The billy clubs, the Cali sticks.
Oh my goodness, we call them the whooping sticks.
Yeah, that or the Bob Lee called him the Billy Club last night, and I got so tickled at him because you got people. So I told him, I said, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if the next Gulag is just some kind of melee weapons like that. And
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. Just a one watt Billy Club smackdown.
And I'm okay with, go back to the pistols for an example in the Gulag. Let's start out with just the Glock, and then go down the list of pistols. Maybe every week change it up, or every 2 weeks change it up.
I agree. It cannot be that.
Bob Lee.
It cannot be
that.
I'm fine
strenuous. With the SMGs coming back.
I'm cool with that.
The snipers, man, I literally am irritable when I have to go into the Gulag, and I'm thinking, and it doesn't matter if I get the stupid knife in my fist that I'm playing with. I'm thinking, really?
That's the worst. Rocky Balboa is the worst. I do not want to fight somebody with fist and a throwing knife, where they get a lucky shot on a throwing knife, or I just have to sit there and I'm hitting triggers, folks. I'm like, this is it. Mm-hmm. Here I am trying to punch people. I know. Just give me a gun and let me shoot. Let me prove that I'm better.
Figure it out. Whomever hits the other person first in that particular Gulag wins, because it's just a math problem then. Yeah. It's just simply math then. Unless but how many times, Haig, have you run up there and you've jabbed a guy in the face and then took off the other direction? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but if you did that, their health is going to regen, because it's not. I'm almost 100% positive it's not like a regular gunfight, and you get that health regen. And now the time limit, I like that. But so generally, if you go to whooping one another, you stand there and box it out, and whoever lands that first punch is the winner.
Yeah,
I would bet it 99 times out of 100. That's how it works.
I agree with that. So that may be something that I'd like to see changed in season 5 is a Gulag change, and I think we will see Gulag change. I would like to see it for the better. I'd like to see it rely more on skill rather than chance or luck. Or anything like that. There needs to be some overall game balances to the game itself that don't pertain to guns at all. Like we were talking about the manling. That's a game balance that needs to be addressed.
Needs to be fixed.
Game balances. I don't think this will ever happen, but I think the cars need to be balanced. The trophy systems need to be balanced. The UAVs, the cluster strikes, precision airstrikes. Honestly, in an honest opinion, when you're watching regular people or pros play, how many times do they pick up a precision airstrike or cluster strike and use it and get a kill? 5%. 5%.
Yeah, not. But you know what? I remember back. If you think about and I think you had this concern as well. I know Strawberry Shortcake did, Firewifey did. Everybody was kind of worried about the kill streaks in Warzone. They were like, "Oh boy, I'm worried about the kill streaks, the airstrikes, the whatever it may be." I think they served their purpose especially if you're downtown or someone's on a roof, you can generally push them off a roof.
Yeah.
You know just well as I do where we land. If somebody puts a cluster strike or an airstrike, we bust off the roof and run downstairs so we can at least get cover. And what that kill streak does is it allows that other team to reposition or should reposition enough on us
No, I agree
that
with
when
that.
uh, so I know a lot of people, but we're talking about like Nachos brought up the UAV, and I agree because me and Bob Lee and Rufus, I think you included, have said, uh, if you watch Swag or some of the pros that pop in UAV, it looks like a Christmas tree on the radar,
Yes, it
and we
does.
pop a UAV, and it's we're lucky if we
Maybe
get a
one
team,
team. Yeah,
you
maybe
know,
one team.
and so I don't,
Maybe they're popping it earlier than us. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. They do
yeah,
loot really
I don't
fast.
know,
I mean, I loot fast as well. You loot fast. Our whole squad pretty much loots pretty fast as
yeah,
a squad.
I mean,
But even at then, I mean, we get one really quick and pop it. I mean, maybe it's because we're not more towards Superstore. It's a more
yeah, agreed. You're
possible that
probably
it
right.
was
That's that's a
more
possibility.
populated area over there.
Maybe that is a possibility.
What
But it
about
does seem like
what
that our UAVs don't show as much as normal.
What about this as a game balance? Have you ever noticed that when you've got plates, the armor plating system, which I think they nailed this one right on the head, right out of the gate. Just about that it's almost perfect. They had to adjust to how many plates you could carry with the satchel. I thought that was a good addition. I mean,
Yep.
those were good changes that I thought. But what about this? Have you ever noticed when you have a sliver of one taken off and it makes you use a
Yeah.
whole one for that sliver? A good game balance, in my opinion, would be to pull that and make it just where all plates give you one stick. Like, it would take you to the next level with the one sliver. And then the next one take you to the next one sliver. And if you want to be at 100%, just like you would in Fortnite, I call it greeding it. Sometimes I'll greed what you call potion. I call, a big pot. I would greed a big pot to get to a perfect 100. That's the way the plates need to be, restructured in this game. I don't want to have to waste a plate to get one, sliver of armor on the first bar. I want to get that whole one to the second one. I don't think that's too much to ask either.
No, I mean, what about? I mean, this is just merely a suggestion. What if you're in a gunfight and that plate eventually, you know, uh, rehealed itself. I mean, that's just a suggestion. I'm not saying that should be set in stone. Like you said, if it's a sliver, but I guess you get into that balance of what if it's just a sliver of armor left, and it should take a full plate. Then I don't know how to maybe counterbalance that.
The
I do
only way
think
to do
it
it
is
is to
frustrating.
make a plate a full plate. Quit doing
Yeah,
this. Quit doing this guessing game or round up or round down or whatever it is. Make it a full plate and
yeah,
make the top end be where you have to decide for yourself if you're going to greed that for 100 or if you're just going to say, okay, I'm at 90% plates instead of 100, and I'm gonna hold on to my last plate. That way,
yeah.
maybe if I get knocked a couple shots, then I will use my plate when it's more valuable to me. Then I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the only possible way. But that's something that I'd like to see game
And there
balance
are
wise.
times that I'll look up, there are times that while I'm playing, I'll look up and I'll be like, I've got 90% armor and I won't use a plate at that point in time.
Right?
I'm
No,
just
I'm not
gonna,
gonna
I'm
I'm
just
not
gonna
gonna
wait
waste a
it out.
plate.
I'm gonna save my one plate because especially at early game, if
No,
you
100%.
generally don't have a lot of plates. So I'm thinking I'll save this one plate. I may not even top off just that way. If we get into another fight or something, I've got that one stitch of armor that I can put
Yeah.
on. I mean, let's pat them on the back. I do think the armor box was a great addition. I mean, I think it was a great addition. Finding
I
those
still think
laying around.
they can balance the cash out. I think that's another game balance.
Yeah,
There's a lot of little small details. I'll give them a pat on the back. The armor stuff is good. The munitions box is good. The
and also
munitions
we
box
did
being
notice
5 Gs maybe right where it needs to be, but maybe the armor box needs to be dropped to 5 Gs as well. Because right now, if you start doing the math, you might be better off just to buy a stack of plates. 2 stacks
yeah,
for $3,000. That's 10 plates. It just depends on how many players are playing with you. If you're running
yeah.
duos, a $6,000 armor box is not really worth it. Whereas if you're
Mm-mm.
playing quads, it may be. But
Now,
with that
granted, if
said, we
everybody
could,
had satchels, it would be. If everybody had
yeah,
satchels, but generally not everyone has the satchels until late game. Later in the game is when people will have satchels. Um, we also did, and this is a mistake I think we all was thinking of. I was paying attention to it last night. Worm was one of the last ones. He was the last one left, and he fell in. We were all dead. He fell back in, etc. And the boxes, we always said that, of course, you get them after first ring and then fifth ring. Well, it's fourth ring.
End
I
of
did pay
fourth.
attention. It is fourth ring
Yeah.
when you get your next box. I think it should be 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, 5. And me personally, and I guess
I
I
don't.
made
I don't
the.
think. I don't think it should give you one.
You don't think
I
it should
think it
give you
should be
one? You think
3
it's
and
got to
5.
buy it? Yeah.
3 and
Yeah,
5. It should
I'm not
make you
opposed
buy.
to
It
that.
should make you buy it on your first round. If you want to play with your loadout, it should make you buy it. The reason that
Well, if you
the
think
reason
about
I
it from
said is
that
because
aspect,
right now the meta now is buy your loadout because everybody's getting it to buy it, and
yeah,
then as soon
you're
as
right.
it
That's where I was
drops,
going.
they're going to get Ghost, and then it makes because most
That's
people are
exactly
running
right.
Ghost.
That's where I was going with that. It is if because of the meta right now, we wait for the one to drop, and then as soon as it drops, we pick up Ghost. If you didn't get one period, then maybe you would have that decision: do I want Ghost? Which, let's face it, I believe we would see the
No,
overwhelming
you'd
majority
say
would want
overkill.
Ghost.
No, you'd
Uh,
see overkill.
you think overkill? See, I don't know. See, I would prefer overkill, but I think a lot of people, you'd be surprised. I think they're running Ghost.
Well, they might,
They're running Ghost
those
off the rip.
rats, they might be. I mean, maybe, but then you get into the thing of what do you use floor loot wise? Because
Oh, it's so garbage.
I mean,
Man.
you got probably an SMG. I mean, more than likely,
Yeah.
probably an SMG.
Yeah, you would.
You'd run the possible scenario where you would have the Bruin. You picked up a Bruin, the Synthetic Dream or something like that right now at the moment, or you picked up a Gold Kilo or something. You would have that possibly where you would pick up an SMG on the backside instead, like a ghosted SMG class. But I mean, most of the time you'd be using one of the 4 SMGs.
Now, what's your thought? Nacho's saying, in his
On the
opinion, Most
contracts.
Wanted is pretty OP. I actually see. I think I differ on that because you get that. I think it's risk reward type thing there. If you pick it up, especially late game, I don't know how it's OP because you mean you're in pretty
I
good
would
trouble.
assume that he's probably saying it's OP because of the cash it gives you.
Yeah, well, it gives you that 2,600.
Well, it
Uh,
changes. I've seen it go all the way up. The later in the game, it will go up to like 5 Gs.
Really? See, last night I only picked up one last night, and it was 2,600 off the rip.
That's
And
off the
we
rip.
kind of just held tight where we were at,
All right,
and
I mean,
that
that's
way
your
we could get
loadout.
that cash to get our loadout.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I see if I think I
I think
look at
there's
it the
too
other
many
way.
of them on the map. I think that'd be
There
a
is too many
great.
on the map.
I think there'd be a great game balance is to make the contracts space out a little bit. Like, if you look at the map, folks, if you drop in and I want you to just hit the map while you're floating and look at where the contracts are, I would take a guess that the 2 most populated contract dense places, one is quarry and 2 is military base. Spread the wealth out. Like, we hardly ever get contracts where we are. Maybe 1, maybe 2, but you go to quarry. I counted the other night 8 bounties in quarry. 8 bounties alone in quarry.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have that many bounties in that spot because here's what's going to happen. You're going to pick one up. There's going to be somebody close. You're going to go kill them, and then you're right next to a bounty at quarry again. You're just cycling. I mean, that works great for the aggressive player, but we're not here talking about just aggressive players, folks. We might have some passive players that want to try to play a more passive game because
Even if
the
you
game
pick up
has
a
to be
bounty,
enjoyable for everybody.
even if you pick up the bounty and you have no desire to chase the bounty, it gives you that information.
Right.
It at least gives you that information of where.
What about being
Uh,
able to cancel contracts?
Yeah, I kind of agree because
But do you think it would be abused? I think it would be
I don't,
abused.
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's why.
I think it's something that could be a trial or error thing because there's too many times that we picked a bounty up and for whatever reason we're at quarry and it puts it at boneyard. What's the purpose of that?
Right.
I mean, I know it's probably an algorithm or something that's just off or something of that nature, but
Right.
uh, in that instance, I believe you should be able to cancel it. I mean, I don't believe you may be able to go through and pick up another one and pick up another one, and you just delete them for the team, the other player base. But
Because here's
maybe
my
there
thought
is a way that
process of
you can
how it would
opt
be
out of it.
abused, especially by pro guys, is they would pick up a bounty, they would mark it, they would cancel it, they'd pick up a bounty, they'd mark it, they'd cancel it, they'd pick up a bounty, they'd mark it and cancel it, then they would split and they would go to fight those teams to get like. I mean, it's a high
Yeah,
risk, high
that
reward,
is a real
but
possibility.
that would be. I would probably think that that's what we would see if they could do that. Now, with that said, there's a lot of times where, let's say, somebody accidentally picks up like a recon. We're not going to run the recon.
We don't run it very often. I have actually started picking them up a little bit more frequent here lately, just for that initial cash burst. I want that little extra point. I think it's 1,000 is what it gives everybody. And of course, if you're playing quads, that's 4 Gs right there. Uh, so somebody like last night, I ran over and grabbed one while everybody else was looting, and of course that kind of pushed us over the edge to be able to get it when we may have been a little short. But I do now actually the number one player from J God, watching him on YouTube in a review of his, the number one winningest player right now, and I do not know his name. I think his
Iron,
name is Irish or yeah, Iron,
iron.
something like that.
Yep.
They literally just spam the recons over and over and over. They go to one recon to the next recon and they narrow it down. They get it to where it's at final ring. That way they can, get to final if they can make it that far. I mean, it must be pretty successful considering he's got the most wins overall. Period. Uh,
That's like
Maybe that's something
1,500
to
or something like
consider.
that.
Yeah, maybe 1,600, something of that nature. Maybe that's something to consider, but I don't know. I mean, if you really think about it, with a recon, you get a grand. I've not paid them attention to the later game. Do you get more cash? I can't tell you. Uh, is that risk reward worth it? I mean, especially on first ring, if you think about it. I mean, if you get killed by first ring, I mean, you weren't paying real close attention to what was going on.
Right.
I mean, that's just the truth.
So let's
Sorry.
say you do die first ring, but you got one player left, one hope. What are some
Mm.
strategies do you think? We obviously know most wanted, but what are some strategies to getting your team back and winning the game? Because I'll give you a little scenario here. The other day, my buddy Massive Deer and I were playing trios with VU fan. Most of these guys stream, so if y'all want to check them out, check them out. But we were playing. I went down to a snipe from God knows how far off and got thirsted. And then Zach died, and then Ethan is alive. And so the only thing he had to do is grab a most wanted. He drove around for 3 minutes on a ATV, which is the worst 3 minutes ever because you have to listen to that. But with that said, we came back in, we dropped back in, we had enough cash to buy loadout. There was a team at the buy box. We overtake that team with what little firepower we have. We take their guns, buy our loadout, and we ended up winning the game. So, it is a very cool aspect to be able to bring your team back. But let's talk about some other ways besides using the king. Somebody in chat said praying for jailbreak.
Yeah.
I don't personally like jailbreak, supply choppers. What's the other one? Fire sale. I don't like them.
Sale.
I mean,
like
of course
fire
you
sale,
like
but
fire sale. It makes stuff cheap, but I don't like the
it's
aspect
so
of it in the
random.
game. There's too
so
much
random.
RNG.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's so random. I mean, I think we had one the other night, and that's the first one I've seen in a little bit. Actually, I think they cranked the supply choppers down. Not seen many of those. We did have a jailbreak last night or the night before.
I had one
Uh,
yesterday.
I can't remember. Um, so yeah, if you really think about it, though, it seems like they've got that balance pretty well, considering right off the rip when the first part of the season and you was getting them very frequently.
Oh, they were in every
Seems like
game.
they toned that down quite a
Yeah,
bit.
thank
So
God
I
they toned
like that.
Thank God they toned down the sound of the supply choppers because that was a miserable.
Yeah, that was
a miserable
ridiculous.
week.
But back to your question, if it's me and we're falling back in, I mean, your choices are most wanted, or if you're lucky, the scavenger perk. I mean, not perk, but the scav challenges out there. Uh, if that's out there, that's what I'm going to go to. And you're hoping that if you've done now, Bob Lee makes a point in chat. the more you'll get more cash because the bonus goes up for every contract that you do. But does that overlap? And now, my question, what I mean, if we do a bounty off the rip, I think it does, and then
Yeah,
we're
it's per
successful at that
contract.
bounty, and then we go to the scav. Okay, so it does.
It
So
is
if you've
it's
done some
per
contracts
contract.
up front, that's probably something to take into consideration, that you're going to get that extra amount of cash right there. Uh, but I'm going to fall in, and I'm going to the scav first. I mean,
So for me, it
unless
depends on how many players I'm playing with. If I'm playing a duo, I'm dropping
yeah, I
in.
agreed.
I'm dropping in
I
on
agree with that.
what are they called? Supply runs. I'm dropping in on a
Supply run.
supply run because
Well,
that's gonna get my buddy back for free. It doesn't put a bounty on my head, and I don't have to run around trying to get scavs. I just have to make it from point A to point B, get him back free.
well, one thing I watched TP do, when was the tournament? The
M-Fan
Friday.
was Friday. Yeah.
Uh, one thing that I've seen us do that I haven't seen them do is, say for an example, we're playing trios. Somebody, we've got a guy still alive. We've got one that's gone completely. He's lost his ghoulie, which we're going to have to purchase him back. And then you've got a man that's just won his gulag and he's hanging. If the man on the ground can get to that supply run, it's easier for the man that's hanging to fly down, get the next player back in the game. I like doing that.
Yeah,
Is it risky a lot
that's
of
a really
times?
good one.
Yes, it is.
It is for
It
the
is.
person. It is for the person who has to drop on the buy box.
Yeah, because they don't, you're falling in with nothing, period, a pistol and a prayer, and that's it. But uh, I think that's a good. But if you're talking just one guy on the, one player left, like Worm last night, he was the last guy left. I mean, really, his opportunity based on where we were at in the ring placement, I think, well, I told you I was paying attention. It was the fourth ring that we were in. That ring was kind of up on that bluff behind Corey and military. Uh, and so he didn't really have an I mean, his choice, and he did get us back in. I mean, he did get us back in. He died, he ultimately died, and we got back in, and there were guys sitting on our loadout drop, so we all three fell in and pretty much so got smoked, immediately. But uh, he was able to get us all in. There was a team that was kind of messing with him, and why they just kind of give up on him, I don't know. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but. Uh, we were able to fall in, and I wish I could tell you a different story. Say, yeah, Worm saved the day. He bought us all back. He took, he went down because of it, but we fell in and won the match. That wasn't the case, but we did at least get back in the match. Uh, the scav is, and you make a good point. It depends on how many, if you're playing duos, trios, or quads. I may change things up there.
Yeah, I mean,
But
they have to be changed. They have to be.
generally, scavvy or supply run, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's one other that you could possibly do that's really kind of unconventional, and you don't see it very often, is the contraband contract. It's the one that gives you the Lonely Lagoon AX50 build.
Yeah.
It gives you quite a bit of cash. It gives you like 8 or 9 G's. But it's not on the map very often, and unless they start putting cash in every box again, which I think they should, it's my opinion, whether it be 500 or up to 2,000. But I think until they do that, the contracts are the best way to get your team back. Just play smart. Don't drop into downtown and grab a king without a vehicle near you, so then you're stuck, downtown with no vehicle with the bounty on your head. Don't drop into Boneyard and the same thing. But what you can do is just play smart and make sure that you are not in a super populated area with a bounty on your head.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this game is so. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it can be tough.
It is the toughest BR, in my opinion, that I've ever played.
It's tough. I mean,
We got 150 players dropping in. You've got gulags to deal with. You have people's loadouts, not to mention hackers. We haven't even talked about hackers all night, which, I mean, props to us.
that can be an episode by itself.
But we've got all those aspects coming in to this BR. Map is huge. And then the contracts, putting bounties on yourself and then also getting bounties put on you. It is hard. It's not an easy play. And the winning is so rewarding in this game. It just is.
It is. I mean,
that's what brings us back to playing. That's what makes us want to talk about this, folks. Is this game is rewarding. It's very fun.
And Nacho, I appreciate him being in the chat. Nacho makes another point. If there's 3 boxes in the house, 2 boxes should have cash. I can give you a prime example. You want ridiculous. We fell into our normal landing spot last night. Immediately in Armory, there were 2 orange chests. I had 14 G's just immediately. And so we tore out and just went. The buy was back behind, not at Lake, but it was down the hill kind of towards military. And so we immediately, I said, I'm going down there. I'm going back. I'm going down to buy right now to go ahead and get it over. And so everybody just kind of followed suit. We all went down there to get loadout. And I ran back up there. There was another orange chest on top of Burger. And so why were there so many,
I mean, that's just that's just RNG.
That's just the randomness of it. Now that particular chest, I remember specifically, it had $2,600 in it, a backpack, and I think one of those stupid Deagle pistols, that had a sniper scope on it, or some kind of crazy optic that was ridiculous. But there were 3 orange chests right there, and I mean,
and
literally
I've got one more point that I'd like to talk about before we kind of wrap this up. That just came to my head. Buy boxes. Do you think they should be permanent? Do you think that there should be permanent places for buy boxes instead of having the randomness of buy boxes? I think they should be permanent. Not necessarily as many, because right now in our normal spot we drop, we have one at where we drop, one at Yellow House, one at Greenhouse down the way, and then there is 4 spawns for them at Military, and then one at Newtown. So we have 10 of them right there, just about, give or take. But what if you half that amount, make it 5, and make them permanent?
I don't know. It's a valid point, but to place devil's advocate, let's say if they were permanent, and then of course, and I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, say we fell in and we lost the fight. That's the point of view I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
Think about the amount of people, which I'm not saying they don't already do them now, and they're in random spots. The amount of people that are just going to camp those buy spots because they know you have to come there. They know.
But it's already labeled on the map now.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I'm just saying if it's permanent every time, I mean, I don't know. I kind of agree with you, but I disagree. I would have to think of some different thought.
Like you said, I like consistency, so I like to see that kind of consistency, and I think that would help with consistency. Fortnite, for instance. I'm bouncing back to Fortnite because I like comparing the two because it's easy to make some comparisons. In Fortnite, the boxes, I'm talking like the loot boxes, never change spots. They're always there. So
do you think they should?
Yeah. I think they should. I think so.
No, let me rephrase it because I've lost you there. Do you think they should change spots, or should they be in the same spot every time?
No, I think they should be in the same spot. And what the RNG of the game should be is: do you get a
lot of cash?
A bum chest, or do you get a good chest? Do you get good cash or bad cash? Do you get a good gun or bad gun? That should be the RNG, not where the boxes are.
Yeah, I see that point.
I like that.
I kind of agree with it. And you have to excuse me. I ain't gonna lie to you. I gotta have a snack. I agree with the loot crates. They need to be in that same spot. I'm torn on the buy boxes. I can't give you I see it, but I kind of agree and disagree with either or. I like the fact that there is a little bit of randomness. But generally, like you said, if you think about it, where we're landing, there is generally quite a bit of, places to go by. I mean, we normally do not have an issue of like, oh shit, we got to go so far. Excuse me, my first curse word of the episode. Go so far to buy our loadout. Or could you just make it easier, Haig, and just say, hey, we're gonna let you drop in with your loadout, but
No,
you've got 60 rounds,
like
and that's it.
I don't like that at all.
you know, go ahead. You need to talk while I eat my
Yeah.
onion collected.
So, but with everything that was said tonight, I think that the people that are listening in, that have made it to the end of the show, guys, thank you for being here. But I think that what they can take away from today is don't get caught up on metas because they're going to change. Right now, we're sick of the Bruin meta. You're sick of the Bruin meta. Everybody's sick of the Bruin meta. Take the Bruin meta out.
We didn't talk about the FAL at all.
We didn't talk about the FAL at all. That's because I don't think it's viable meta. I don't think it is a meta.
You don't think so?
I think people are using it as a SMG right now, and it may be slightly OP, but that one is a risk reward factor because if you don't hit your shot, you are dying. Period.
No, you are. You're
dying to
right
my
about that.
MP5.
You're screwed.
But I don't think it's a viable meta at the moment. I think that there are some people that were trying it out there, but I think that our listeners can take away that don't get caught up on metas. I think that you can take away that season 5 we're definitely going to see some big changes, and maybe not big changes to the map itself, which we don't know, but I think gameplay in and of itself will change quite a bit. With the train and stuff like that, stuff that we know, like stadium opening up is going to be huge. That's a massive place on the map that right now we've had to run around. We can't, you'd have to circumnavigate it to get to the other side of it. That's all you're using it for is cover. But now, whenever you can get inside, they probably will screw it up. I mean, we'll blame the lag, but
got
so
lag.
Other than that, I think that we've really covered quite a bit tonight that has gone over really well, in my opinion. Guys, if you want to hear any particular topics talked about, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you come to my Discord. Make sure you come, which I will put a link to our Discord in the podcast, or to my Discord in the podcast. We have a thread that you can post questions in and stuff like that, and we'll work them into the next episode. I know that when we started this, we were going to say bi-weekly, but there's so much content out there, and we play nightly, and we write down questions. Guys, this is from last week. I have pages, and we didn't even hit 2 of these pages. We hit 1 page. We have tons of stuff, but we want to talk about what y'all want to hear about. And let me tell you, so we would definitely not have any problem taking viewers' questions and working them in here. I know Puff will want to talk about them. I'd like to talk about them too.
Yeah. Nacho, I have not played Rogue Company. I don't know if Haig has or not.
No, I haven't.
Is it PC only or is it console?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I'm willing to. I noticed a lot of people, were giving it a go today and yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a search and destroy type thing, and I would probably be willing to give it a go just to break up the monotony. I mean, that's the one reason I played multiplayer this week. I mean, it's broke up the monotony of it.
Yeah.
Which I've enjoyed. I have done that, but no, Nacho, I have not played Rogue Company yet.
But I mean, I don't have anything else that I really want to go over tonight. So unless you've got something,
everybody make sure Tuesday night you got your consoles, PCs, all that stuff on rest mode, because be prepared for a substantial download. I imagine. I'm hoping it's not going to be a big footprint on our storage, but don't be shocked if it is.
Yeah, I would say that it's going to be a definite large capacity update. But with that said,
I'm excited about that, so I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. With that said, folks, thank you again for listening in to Warzone Joe's and the people here in the live stream. The live stream does get to see it first, folks, so if you want to see it first, come see it in the live stream usually on Sunday nights at around 8 o'clock. But with that said, good morning, good evening, and good night from Haig and Puff. We'll see you next time, guys.